Chapter 35. The Shadow. She's nervous, fidgety, whereas before she could hardly look at me out of fear and hatred, and now it's because she remembers how many different positions I fucked her in last night. My dick legitimately hurts. I don't think I've ever fucked so much in one night, but I'd keep going if it wouldn't literally send me to my knees if I got hard right now. I bowed for Addie several times last night, worshipping her pussy just like I promised, but this time I'd be bowing from pain and praying for my dick not to fall off. Addie and I are leaning against the railing on her balcony. It's an unusually warm day as we near winter, so we both decided to enjoy it. She sips her coffee, her hair tangled and frizzy from last night and blowing gently in the breeze. I think my hands were in her hair so often the strands had dried while wrapped around my fingers. We stayed up until dawn with either my cock, fingers, or tongue filling up one of her holes at all times. We only managed a couple of hours of sleep before my phone started ringing. Another video was leaked last night, and my headspace is too fucked up to work the tension out of Addie's muscles. Dan had said they believed they apprehended the person leaking the videos, but they were obviously wrong. Whoever they are, they're incredibly fucking brave, and I'm very curious how the hell they're doing it with the society watching. I was at Sabier's yesterday, which means the video could have been from the same night I attended. The very same goblets used in the videos were used that night, and now I'm sure they were filled with an innocent child's blood. While I was drinking overpriced whiskey, shooting the shit with a man I have grown to loathe, a kid was dying, his blood draining into chalices for deranged men to drink. Buzzing energy forms beneath the surface, and it takes effort to keep my bones from jumping out of my skin. I need to get away from Addie, because if she gives me attitude or her usual hatred, I don't think my response will be what she deserves. Sensing my growing anger, she sets the coffee cup down on a little table with a dead plant on it. I point at it. Baby, if you can't keep a plant alive, how are you going to keep our babies alive? She smacks my chest.
Calm down, Zaid. No baby talk. I don't even like you like that.
I grin, but her expression turns contemplative, a tiny frown tipping the corners of her lips down as a crease forms between her brow.
Do you ever wonder about Gigi and her stalker and find it strange? Maybe even far-fetched?
When I tilt my head, signaling my confusion, she licks her lips and starts fiddling with the belt on her purple robe.
You already know my great-grandmother had a stalker, one that she fell in love with. And now, so do I, living in the same house and...
Falling in love. I finish for her, keeping my face blank so she's sure I'm not teasing. She glances at me and gives a slight lift of her shoulders, but she doesn't deny it. Cop out, but I let it go.
It just seems crazy and, I don't know, impossible, I guess.
I lean down on the railing and tilt my head up until I catch her eyes. Once they snag onto mine, they're anchored. The breeze ruffles her hair again, the cinnamon strands dancing in the wind. Do you think you're a reincarnation of Gigi, Addie? And that I'm a reincarnation of Ronaldo? We'll never really know, will we? It's highly unlikely, but not impossible. But I can't say I don't like the idea of it. A little snarl takes over her face.
You just like the idea of stalking me for several lifetimes.
This time I do smile, and the dilation of her eyes has my cock growing stiff. Fuck, stop it. It hurts. But when her tongue darts out, wetting her lips, I no longer give a fuck about the pain. My hand snaps out, grabbing the back of her head and bringing her in close. She gasps, her pink lips parting, and in this moment, all I want to do is slip my cock past them and watch them wrap around me. I'd walk on glass if it meant getting to fuck Addie's mouth again. She struggles, but I hold her steady, her hands planted on the railing to support her weight. Her purple robe is draped open, but not enough to expose the bite marks I left last night on her tits. You're right. I do love the sound of watching you for lifetimes. I drop my voice low, as deep as I want to shove my cock inside her. I also love the possibility that I have fallen in love with you in each life, fucked that sweet pussy of yours, and made you fall in love with me as much as I am with you. What did I tell you, little mouse? That you couldn't escape me. If it's real, then I've chased you across time and space, and you've never been able to get away. She gapes at me, seemingly speechless for several moments before she gains her wits.
You don't even know if that's true.
She whispers.
Or how many lifetimes you've stalked me for.
I grip her hair and twist until her ass is flush with the metal rail. Her hand grips mine, nails scoring my flesh as she fights against me, but it doesn't deter me from bending her backward over the railing, the tips of her toes scarcely touching the floor.
What the hell, Zaid?
She screeches, her smoky voice breaking from fear, but my little mouse stills, her chest heaving, and it's then that I nearly break. She trusts me. Hush, baby, I murmur. I keep one hand firmly lodged in her hair while my other hand glides across her stomach. I hover over her and inspect every curve and detail that makes up the face of the woman I'm madly fucking in love with. Even with her eyes rounded in panic, she's the most enthralling creature I've ever laid eyes on. My fingers trail across her freckled cheekbone, down her jaw, and to her neck. Her breath catches and her pulse thunders. I can't help but smile, pleased by the reaction I draw out of her every fucking time I touch her. I trail my fingers down to her parted robe. Those bite marks on her tits now on full display. A low hum gathers in my chest, building to a growl when I pull apart her robe further until it falls completely to the sides, baring her creamy flesh and those rosebud nipples. They tighten in the cool wind, and my mouth waters with the need to bite down on them. My little unsuspecting mouse, living each life without any knowledge of what's to come, not knowing that I'm yearning for you, watching in the distance until I make myself known. I drag my lips across her collarbone, trailing up the column of her throat towards her ear. For centuries, both of us wearing different faces, inhabiting different bodies, but the same souls colliding over and over until this planet decides to crumble and our souls have nowhere else to go. I hum in amusement, enjoying the quickening of her breath. Can you imagine it? I ask softly. I pluck a nipple between my fingers, another low groan vibrating my chest. She shivers beneath my touch, her little pants desperate and breathy. Can you imagine what it would feel like to have my love for that long? She swallows, her eyes pinned on the water beyond the cliff as a shaky breath loosens past her lips.
Do you know what it sounds like to drown? That's what it would feel like.
She says, her voice husky and uneven. Tell me, baby, what does drowning sound like?
Like the first breath of air after being trapped underwater. It's a sound of both pain and relief, of desperation and desire. When you've gone so long without oxygen, that first breath is the only thing that makes sense, and your body takes it in without permission.
Isn't it the most exquisitely painful thing you've ever felt? I jerk her head closer, bringing another gasp that skitters across my lips. You're mine, Adeline, I growl. I don't care if we're reincarnated or not. Here and now, this is fucking real, and in this lifetime, you are mine. I let her go, and she doesn't waste time scrambling up and plastering herself against the house. Her hands gripping the siding as if I had shaken her world, and she's grasping for something to ground her. I can feel the intensity radiating off of me. The buzzing has grown louder, and I'm not sure whether I need to fuck Addie or go shoot someone in the face.
Are you okay?
She asks quietly, sensing the turmoil raging inside of me. I look over to her, and it seems as if she shrinks beneath my gaze. It's not until I notice the tremor in her hands that I realize I'm glaring. Fuck, I say, swiping a hand roughly down my face. The raised scars only serve as a reminder. I'm sorry, Mouse. I got shitty news this morning. I keep getting shitty news. She frowns, a crease forming between her brows. She clears her throat, draws the robe closed, and cautiously steps back towards me, fidgeting with the belt again. Brave girl. Her awkwardness almost makes me smile. but I feel a little too empty to do anything other than stare.
Do you want to talk about it?
She finally asks, glancing up at me before she reaches for her coffee. Do you want to hear about it? I counter, cocking a brow. A red flush rises to her cheeks, but she lifts her eyes and holds them steady.
Yes.
This time it's me who looks away. That involves hearing about what I do for a living, which is kill people. She releases a shaky breath, but instead of retreating as I had expected, she nods her head.
Okay.
That single word, only made up for 4 letters, meant more to me than she could ever imagine. You're not going to like what you hear, I argue, and for the first time I think I'm searching for an excuse not to tell her. I've always been honest with her, but right now, I don't think I can handle her vicious rejection.
Maybe not.
She concedes.
But you said before you save women and children. Was that not true?
I pin her with my stare, conveying just how serious I am. That is what I do. All of what I told you is 100% the truth. I just didn't go into detail about what I do once I catch them.
Torture them.
She easily guesses. Those 4 politicians exposed that truth. She pauses, her caramel eyes boring into me. She's absently chewing her lip, contemplating something, it seems. Whatever she decides, she nods her head slightly to herself. I'm very curious to know what's going on in that head of hers.
Tell me.
She says, her tone firm and unyielding.
I want to know everything about you.
She ends her sentence with a wrinkle of her nose as if she thought she'd never say those words. It brings a small grin to my face. You mean besides what it feels like to have my cock in every hole of your body? She scoffs, a pretty blush staining her cheeks.
You have not.
She snaps. Yet, I promise. I haven't taken her ass yet, but I fully intend to soon.
Zaid, focus.
She hisses, but her clenched thighs and blown eyes don't go unnoticed. I look off to the side and stare out at the bay, focusing on something mundane, despite how beautiful it is with the water sparkling beneath the sunlight. Everything is mundane when Addie is present. There's a small thicket of trees leading up towards the cliff, the crooked branches deprived of leaves and reaching towards the sky, as if begging for life again. They're dying, and it imitates what I feel on the inside right now. I target specific people, politicians, celebrities, businessmen, people in positions of power or who have money, and even people who are the lowest of the totem pole and will do anything to get by. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what their job is or how much money they have, because they're all the same. They're human sex traffickers. For years, I've been targeting pedophile rings and dismantling them, rescue the girls and children and either send them back to their family or send them to a safe, undisclosed location where they can live the rest of their lives in comfort. But about 9 months ago, a video leaked of a sadistic ritual taking place. They were sacrificing a child and drinking his blood. Since then, a few more videos have leaked, including one last night. I pause, clenching my jaw and trying to regain the composure that is beginning to slip through my fingers. Blowing out a deep breath, I continue. I've told you already that Mark was in the first video, which is why I targeted him and the 3 other men I killed. All 4 of them were performing the ritual. The night I killed Mark, he disclosed the location to me, so I went there yesterday to insert myself, gain trust, and be invited into the dungeon. They were drinking out of the same goblets that they use in the rituals. I pause, nearly blind from rage as I admit. I think this recent video was from last night, and those goblets were full of blood from a sacrifice they performed while I was there. The coffee cup clatters against the metal table, nearly toppling over as Addie attempts to set it down. Her hand is badly shaking, and it looks like a piece of the ceramic breaks off.
What the fuck?
She breathes, her eyes wide with shock and repulsion, though they don't stray from me as she says,
Zaid, you couldn't have known that's what was happening. You can't blame yourself for that.
I clench my teeth against the snarl threatening to take over my face, the muscle in my jaw threatening to burst. The fuck I can't, I snap. She flinches, her face softening. I didn't build Z and become who I am today to allow for a child to be sacrificed right fucking below me and watch sick fucks drink their blood like it's goddamn water. Tears form in her eyes, but she stays silent while I work to calm myself down. I've dedicated almost 6 years to eradicating human trafficking. Seattle happens to be a prime location for pedophile rings, but in reality they're everywhere, and I plan to take them all down. Or as many as I can until this life takes me down first. Addie doesn't speak. She stares into her nearly depleted coffee as if it's an 8-ball that will give her whatever answers she's looking for. The sound of the furnace kicks on, filling the otherwise static silence. After a few moments, she looks up at me, an unreadable expression on her freckled face.
Why?
She whispers.
Why did you choose to put your life in danger and hunt down these people and kill them? What made you decide to do this?
Her tone isn't laced with judgment, but the need to understand. But I'm not sure my answer will offer her the understanding she's asking for. Because I want to, baby. Her brows jump in surprise, not expecting my answer. You're expecting me to give you a legitimate reason for why I took this path in life. Maybe I had a sister or mother who was kidnapped and sold. Maybe I was myself. But none of those things are the case. When I learned about human trafficking in the depths of its depravity, I was sickened. And I have the skill to do something about it, so I am. I'm saving innocent people because I want to. And I'm torturing and murdering the bad because I want to. Her eyes widen in surprise when I prowl towards her. She doesn't back away from me, but I see the tension roll into her shoulders like thunderclouds swollen with rain. I grab the back of her neck and pull her into me. She stumbles, steadying herself with her hands on my chest. Her breathing has escalated, the short little breaths escaping through her puffy, bruised lips. I lean in close, making sure her eyes are locked onto mine as I say, "And the reason I stalk you, little mouse, is because I want to. Everything I do in life is my choice. I choose my morals. I choose the ones that are worth saving and the ones that are worth killing. And I choose you. If you're expecting a tragic story, you're not going to get one. My parents were incredible people who loved me and supported me. They died in a car crash when I was 17. The roads were terrible, and they hydroplaned off a cliff. I lived with my father's best friend, my godfather, for a year before going to college for computer science and started my career as a hacker. My parents' death was heartbreaking, but an accident. Aside from losing them, nothing bad has ever really happened to me that would lead me to slaughter evil people for a living. I make my own choices in life, Addie. That's all there is to it. She swallows, her eyes darting between mine. Slowly she raises her hand and traces a finger lightly over the scar running down my eye. I clench my jaw, relishing in the fire that her fingers leave in their wake. Despite the severity of the conversation, my cock hardens to steel in my jeans. I'm tempted to unzip, bend her over the railing, and take her right here. But I know we're both incredibly sore by now, and I would crash right back into the dark headspace the second I slip out of her. Addie doesn't deserve that. She doesn't deserve to have her body used so I can escape my demons.
And your scars?
The first time I infiltrated a ring, one of the ringleaders was a brute and knew his way around a knife fight. He cut me up good, and it was the lesson I needed in order for me to learn how to defend myself and fight properly. No man has ever come close since. I wear these scars proudly because in the end, I won, and every innocent in that building went home safe.
But they still haunt you.
I nod once. They do? It was the first time I was confronted with the possibility of failure, and that feeling has never quite let me go from its clutches. It's the feeling that imprints on me like a bad tattoo each and every time I invade a ring. Her hand drops to the side, dangling loosely as she stares at me. I stare back, each of us trying to read the other, figure out what the other is thinking, feeling.
One last question.
She barters. Ask me as many as you want.
The roses. Why the roses?
I smile. I was waiting for her to ask me about those. My mother, her favorite flowers were roses. She always had them all over the house with the thorns clipped so I wouldn't hurt myself. One year I told her that I would be sad when she died because all the roses would die with her, so she gave me a plastic rose and said that as long as I have that rose, she would never be truly gone. I shrug. I guess I wanted to see roses all over your house too, maybe because you feel like home. She inhales sharply, seemingly taken aback by my words. Those beautiful eyes are fixated on mine, both shock and raw hunger reflecting in her caramel pools. Licking her lips, she admits softly,
It's going to take me some time to fully accept some things, Zaid. I can't tell you how long it'll take me, but I can tell you that I will try. But what I can definitively accept is you saving the children and girls.
Her lip wobbles before I can reach down and snatch it between my teeth. She sucks it between her own. After a few seconds, she continues.
I admire you more than I can say for being one of far too few people willing actually to do something to save them. The world needs more people like you, Zaid.
Maybe, I murmur, giving in and placing a soft kiss on the corner of her lips. But all I need is you. Her eyes close and she nods to herself. I don't know what conclusion she comes to in that pretty little head of hers, but when she opens her eyes and gazes up at me, it looks a little like she needs me too. My hand slides into her hair, and just as I'm closing the distance, a voice filters in through Addie's bedroom door.
Who's ready for a murder invest?
The loud voice trails off, replaced by a loud gasp. Mine and Addie's heads both turn at the same time. Standing in her bedroom, staring at us with a mixture of disbelief and anger, is Addie's best friend. Hello, Daya, I greet, my mask falling into place as I smirk and step away from Addie. My little mouse is embarrassed. I note the hint of shame, but it was expected. It's going to take time for Addie to truly accept within herself that she has given in to her stalker.
What the hell? Is this him?
My smirk widens and I turn to look at Addie. Have you been gossiping about me, little mouse? Did you tell her how big my cock is? Addie's eyes pop comically. Her hand curls and swings it right into my chest. It feels like she just threw a slice of bread at me.
Asshole! No!
If it wasn't for the small figure charging towards me, the loud stomping would be a clear indicator to the storm coming my way. I turn and swoop out of the way of another flying fist, this one packing a lot more punch. That one might have felt like a whole loaf of bread. I can tell the girl can hit, but fists don't affect me these days. I've grown too accustomed to the bite of a bullet instead. I laugh, catching Daya by her arm before she flies ass over teacup over the balcony. She wouldn't look so pretty with her face bashed in and her skull cracked open. Damn. You both woke up and chose violence today, huh? Daya rips her arm from my hand and glares at me, her pretty green eyes full of ire, and then she turns to Addie.
I thought we hated him.
I cock a brow, also staring at Addie and waiting for her answer. At this point, she can lie and say she still does. I know the truth, and that's what matters. I have a single feeling in my body, and it's attached to the freckled-faced girl who looks like she's having a stroke. It's going to take a lot more than her lying to her best friend to hurt it. Addie's face is red and her mouth flops, but no words come out. She might even be going into cardiac arrest. Daya trains her glare on me and opens her mouth, but I cut in. I'd be very careful about your words and any swinging limbs. I do sign your paychecks. Her eyes widen, taken aback.
So, it is you. You are Z?
She demands. What? Does my face not meet your expectations? The look that comes over Daya's face is pure entertainment. I swear you can't find this shit on TV anymore. She flounders for an answer but comes up short. All she really can do is just stare. I hope you understand that Addie never really stood a chance. Don't blame her. Addie crosses her arms, huffing at me, and finally finding her voice. All I had to do was piss her off.
I make my own decisions, Zaid. Quit acting like I didn't have a choice.
I just smile, letting her think what she wants, whatever gets her pussy willingly wrapped back around my cock, I guess.
You knew I already had suspicions, Addie. Why wouldn't you just tell me?
This time Daya's voice softens, full of hurt and sadness. Addie's face drops, and that's my cue to leave.
I'm really sorry. I haven't been sure how to even explain what's happening with him.
I take a step back, attracting both of their eyes. I have to deal with the video. I have men stationed outside the property already.
What the hell? Why? I didn't see any men.
Daya asks, her eyes widened with alarm. They're not meant to be seen, Daya. You know that already, don't you? When her teeth click, I continue. You two kiss and make up. I trust your judgment, so whatever you decide to divulge, you have my permission. Addie bites her bottom lip, glancing at her best friend with guilt. I'll see you later, little mouse. I wink at her suggestively, and her eyes narrow in response. Daya sputters, but I'm out the door before she can relearn how to speak again. I've got far more pressing matters to deal with than Daya's newly developed speech impediment.
Chapter 36. The Manipulator. I looked down at my hands like a scolded child. After Satan's affair, I had admitted Zayd and I had sex, but I still didn't confirm his identity to her, and she hadn't asked. I think she was too concerned with my mental health to think about it, rightfully so. Regardless, if I had just been upfront and told Daya that I couldn't share details about Zayd and Mark, I think she would have learned to accept it. It was lying to her that hurt her most. She followed me down to the kitchen, her anger a heavy gaze burning into the back of my head the entire way, and now she glares at me from across the island. How long have you known? And why are there men stationed outside the house? And he trusts you to tell me what? I bite my lip. For a little while, I confess. Look, I didn't say anything because his involvement with Mark is top secret. I didn't want you to keep asking questions that I wasn't sure I could answer. It wasn't my story to tell, and what he's doing is incredibly sensitive. Did you know who he was when I asked you about him before Satan's affair? I cringe and nod my head, confirming what she already knew. Hurt flashes in her eyes, and all I want to do is cry. The guilt I've been carrying for lying to her bleeds from my pores. She blows out a breath and nods, accepting my answer for what it is. Okay, fine. Can you tell me now? I go on to explain Zayd's current mission outside of bringing down pedophile rings, about the sick rituals being performed on little children and how hard Zayd has been working to find the location and bring it down. Daya listens attentively, face souring as I explain the horrific things being done to innocent children, aside from being tortured and trafficked. As if that wasn't fucking bad enough. I'd like to say I'm surprised, but I'm not. Daya mutters, fidgeting with the hoop in her nose. So, Zayd killed Mark because of these rituals? Not exactly, though it definitely played a part in it. Remember how we saw him at Satan's affair? When she nods, I continue. Apparently, Mark targeted us that night and had made a call for someone to come extract us. I explained Zayd's role that night and how he had made sure that Daya and I never ended up in the back of a van. Even worse, how the society has put a target on my head and that Mark was trying to fulfill that. As I continue telling her everything I know, Daya stares at me with a somber expression on her face. When I finish, she stays quiet. Halfway through the story, I poured us both a shot of vodka. We both needed the liquid courage to hear about just how fucked up this world can be. I'll be keeping an eye on you as well, Daya says after a few moments. Silence had settled in, and as it stretched on, I grew more and more anxious that she was going to walk out. I hurt her. You don't have to do that, I say, my voice small. It seems I do, she sighs, a frown pulling her lips down. I'm sorry. I apologize again. Ever since he came into my life, shit has been insane, and I've barely had time to come to terms with it all. Not to mention that I still don't know how to process him. And I think I wanted just to pretend that I was handling a stalker how I should be, not by going off and, well, fucking him? Daya finishes, her voice stern. I cringe, biting my lip against the sting of her words. I deserve that. Yeah, I whisper. Daya's shoulders drop. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that, she says, as if reading my mind. I'm not mad at you for your relationship with Z, Addie. I mean, I don't understand it. I don't understand how anyone could accept that their lover is a stalker. I also don't think it's the makings of a healthy relationship. The dude obviously has issues. I nod, agreeing with her assessment. What she's saying are the same things that I've thought myself. But knowing that Z is your stalker oddly reassures me. I never knew him personally, obviously. I didn't even know what he looked like, but what he does, it's incredibly admirable. He puts his life on the line every day, walks into the lion's den himself, and saves a lot of innocent souls. He's helped countless people and taken down so many rings already. And I don't have to see what's in the videos to know that Z takes them to heart. She sighs, and a sardonic smile flashes on her face. He stalks people for a living, so I suppose it's no surprise that tendency has bled into his love life. I make a face, showing her how unimpressed I am with him not keeping his work habits where they belong. And I get why you didn't tell me, she admits softly. Mark put you in a pretty shitty situation to begin with, and I understand more than most how delicately that situation needs to be handled. I would have understood if you had said so from the beginning. She shoots me a look. But I get it. You're not used to this dark corner of the world, so I can't expect you to know how to deal with it all. My body relaxes with her acceptance, relieving me of some of the weight resting on my shoulders. I can't stand when Daya's mad at me. I'd take Zaid pointing a gun in my face over my best friend's anchor any day. Daya, I just want you to know it wasn't because I didn't trust you, and I'm so sorry I lied. Getting involved with Zaid really tests my morals, and I still don't know what to think of everything. I mean, falling in love... I cut myself off, my teeth clicking from the force. I feel the blood drain from my face as I swallow the words back down. Do you? No. I cut in, the response too rushed and snappy to ring true. Daya blinks, an array of emotions in her sage eyes, but she takes pity on me and doesn't push. Well, whatever the case, I guess I can't blame you for not being able to resist him. She flashes a toothy smile. He is really hot, and you really needed to get laid. I find a random envelope sitting on the island and whip it at her in response. She cackles, dodging the envelope. Dick, I mutter, increasing her laughing. What I'm not going to tell her is that sex with Zaid is far beyond getting laid. It's not just incredibly intense. It's metamorphosing. I walked out of that house of mirrors a completely different person. And after last night, I don't think I will ever be able to go back to the Adeline Riley before Zaid. Have you heard anything from Max? I ask, the simple question erasing the light-hearted tone. Daya shrugs a shoulder. No, actually. Ever since he visited us at that restaurant, I haven't heard from him, or the twins. I nod and say, Zaid implied several times that they've been handled, but I'm not sure what exactly that means. I haven't even thought to ask. My mind has been so wrapped around everything else. Do you think they're dead? She chews her lip and shrugs, appearing a tad uncomfortable. Her best friend has a serial killer for I don't know what he is. Boyfriend? Lover? Ugh, gross. No, God can smite me before I refer to a man as my lover. Whatever he is, he's crazy. But I think she might even know that better than I do, with him being her boss. I'm sure she's aware of the minute details on Zaid's operations when he extracts girls. I don't think they are, but I'll look into it. Regardless, they've left us alone, and I'm glad for it. I nod in agreement. Can't say I have any complaints either. Daya makes a move towards the coffee pot when she steps on the envelope I threw at her. Pausing, she picks it up off the floor and sets it down on the island. That's when I notice that it's an odd envelope. It's thick as hell, as if it's packed to the brim with papers or something. Brows dipping in confusion, I reach over and snatch up the thick paper. Noting the look on my face, Daya turns her attention back to me. What is it? My address is handwritten, but there's no return address. I don't know, I mutter, eyeing the envelope like it's a bomb. I can't explain the exact feeling, but anxiety pools in the pit of my stomach. Carefully, I peel open the flap, grab the thick stack of papers and slide them out, except it's not all just papers. Dozens of photographs fall out, along with a weathered note. Daya and I glance at each other, our eyes connecting with mutual confusion and trepidation. I pick up the pictures first, immediately recognizing a younger version of Gigi in them. Most of them, her smiling red lips stare back at me, the same man predominant in all the photos. Who is that? I mutter, not expecting any real answer at the moment. I don't recognize the man. He's not pictured in any of the photographs that were hanging on the wall when I moved in. Once I renovated the house, I decided to take them all down. I had decided that they'd judged me enough after the Grayson debacle. Zaid fucked me in that hallway last night. That's as far as we made it before he pinned me up against the wall and took me from behind. When Zaid and I had left the bedroom this morning, we had both discovered I had gouged nail marks into the paint. It was my only anchor, with his hand firmly gripping my hair, bowing my body back and using it as a rope as he fucked me into oblivion. I had collapsed after that orgasm, and he was forced to fuck me on the rug, right smack in the middle of the hallway. I'll never look at that spot on the rug or the wall the same. So I can only imagine how judgy their frozen eyes would be after not only seeing their descendant actually get railed this time, but by her stalker no less. Thank God I took those down. Is there anything written on the back? Daya asks, flipping over a few photos herself to look. I flip over mine and see a date written. January 8th, 1944. Several months before Gigi had started writing about her stalker. In the picture is Gigi, smiling brightly up at the camera, her hair pinned into the type of curls you only saw in the 40s. Next to her, the unfamiliar man has an arm wrapped loosely around her, a slight smirk on his face. Something about him seems familiar, but I can't put my finger on it. No names on this one, I observe, flipping over a few more pictures. All with dates, but none that reveal the identity of the man. We spread the photos out and arrange them in chronological order. The last picture is 2 weeks before her death. Gigi seems to be curled in on herself, hunched and small as she holds a glass of wine. Her smile is strained, while the mystery man stands next to her, looking down at her with a pinched brow and a frown. At this point, she was already in fear for her life. But from the man in the pictures or someone else? Next, I pick up the weathered letter. It's addressed to Gigi.
My Genevieve, it pains me to write this letter. I sit here and I mourn, for what could have been, for what could still be, but yet you refuse to see. I've loved you since the moment I saw you, Genevieve. I've loved you, though you have married another, and now that I know you have given yourself to a different man, a man that's not me, my love still persists. I've waited so long for you already, and now yet another has come between us, has stopped me from taking you as mine. Why do you insist on doing this to me, to us? It plagues me. Keeps me from sleeping at night. The only thing I can think of doing is cutting you from my life to end this misery for good. Sincerely, your true love.
What the fuck did I just read? I ask in a strained whisper. Daya reads over my shoulder, and when I look back at her, her wide eyes are on me, alight with confusion and concern. That sounded ominous, threatening, she says, her green eyes glancing at the letter like it's a curse written on paper. I nod, distractedly setting down the note and sorting through the pictures again, looking for clues on who this man might be. but there are none. He looks so familiar, I murmur, studying another picture. They look to be at a party of some sort. The image is in black and white, so I can't tell the color of the dress, only that it's a dark shade. Jewels decorate the ends of her sleeves and around the collar of the dress. And of course, I don't need the picture to be in color to know she's wearing her red lipstick. The man has his hand resting high up on her thigh. With the way he's clutching her, it almost seems possessive, domineering. I've never met this man in my life, and yet I know he's a damn bastard. That I can bet money on. And by the strained smile on Gigi's face and the tightening around her eyes, my great-grandmother clearly thought so too. Hold on. Let me take pictures and upload them onto my computer. I can do a reverse image search. I watch her do her thing, her brow pinched with concentration. Within minutes, she's turning the laptop towards me, staring at me carefully. Mark's father. That's who's in all these pictures. My eyes snap to hers while my heart rate picks up speed. Are you thinking the same thing as me? I ask. What? That your great-grandfather's best friend could have been in love with Gigi and killed her when he found out she was having an affair with a man that wasn't him? She summarizes, plucking the exact thoughts out of my head. She sighs and stares down at the photos. I don't know. It's a big conclusion to come to just based off of some creepy photos and a note. While the note does have a threatening tone to it, it certainly isn't enough to convict him of murder. I nod, having thought the same thing. Something about these pictures puts me on edge and gives me a creeping chill down my spine. As much as I revolted against Gigi's diary and how she fawned over her stalker, it never gave me a bad feeling, the way the note and pictures do. Still, I can't solve a murder case purely based on feeling. I need evidence. Logically, Gigi's stalker is still more likely, but that doesn't mean Mark's father being the murderer is out of the question. She goes on, absently picking up one of the pictures and observing it. I see motive in this note, so even if it's a small chance, I think we should still look into it. Have you found any more information on Ronaldo? She sighs. Yes, he died in 1947 of a cardiogenic shock. My brows plunge. A heart attack? She shifts. A broken heart. He died of broken heart syndrome. My mouth dries. I found some family history on him, but not much else. His life was kept pretty tightly under wraps, and I assume his boss had something to do with that. So, a dead end. I conclude, nodding my head. I bite my lip, rolling it between my teeth as I contemplate my next move. I think I need to go up into the attic, I say with resignation. I may love ghosts, but fuck, that doesn't mean I still have the desire to be possessed by a demon or whatever is up there. Daya's sage eyes whip to mine. I told her about the last note I found and how I felt there was something very negative up there. You're a masochist. You're gonna get possessed if you go up there. I snort. I think it would have done so by now if it really wanted to. There could be more up there. Daya sighs. I'm going to die today, she mutters. You won't die, just maybe a little possession. I chirp as I round the island and make way towards the staircase. Yeah, and guess who I'm terrorizing first? That cold, heavy weight instantly drops on my shoulders the second I enter the attic. It's like in those cartoons when a piano drops out of the sky and lands on top of an unsuspecting person. Okay, hurry the fuck up. I don't like it up here, Daya says, her voice tight with fear. It's crawling across my bones, too, sending my heart racing. Yet, heat slithers through my muscles, settling low in the pit of my stomach. I use the flashlight on my phone to search through the walls. I start with where I found the last note, but all that's left are cobwebs and spiders. I make my way over each wall, pressing on the wood paneling in hopes of finding one of them loose. It's not until I get close to the mirror that I find one. The wood rattles beneath my palms, and with the heavy feeling surrounding us, I waste no time ripping the wood from the wall. I bounce the beam of light around in several different directions, finding nothing but more bugs and webs. I almost give up until I see a flash of something shiny. "I think I found something," I announce excitedly. "Thank fuck," Dia mutters from behind me. I barely hear the words. Plunging my arm into the hole before I can consider the bugs, I grab at the piece, my hand closing around something plastic. I go to pull that out, but my hand grazes what feels like paper, so I make a grab for that too. I swipe at my arm, cringing at the feel of cobwebs sticking to me. I don't even look at my arm. I just keep brushing it off, all while beelining for the steps. "Let's go," I breathe, right before I'm nearly knocked on my ass from Dia pushing past me and running down the stairs. Whatever is in my hand, it's something big. I'm as sure of it as I am of the eyes on my back watching me leave. Slamming the attic door behind me, I lean against it and heave, shaking out the bone-chilling cold that seems to cling to me like glue. "I'm never going up there again," Dia says, panting. "I don't think I want to either," I say. Finally, I look down at my hand and see a Ziploc bag with a gold diamond-encrusted Rolex in it and blood streaked across the plastic. And the note in my hand is a quick scrawl that says, "Hide this. No one can know I did it. Remember that." Holy shit, I breathe. "Let me see it." "We can't touch it or we'll get fingerprints on it, but those have serial numbers. I can probably trace that back to its owner." We rush down into the kitchen, the demon residing in my attic forgotten. I find a pair of spare rubber gloves that Dia and I used when we were cleaning out the house. She snaps the gloves on and carefully pulls out the bloodied watch. "I don't want the blood to flake off, but I need to remove the bracelet in order to see the serial number," she murmurs, handling the watch piece with care. "Do you have a thumbtack?" I whip around and open up the junk drawer in my kitchen, confident I have one somewhere. After rummaging for a minute, I let loose a celebratory aha and hand Dia a blue thumbtack. It takes her a minute, but she finally gets the bracelet unhooked between the lugs of the watch. "Motherfucker!" she curses. "What?" "Someone scratched at the serial number. It's barely legible." Dia looks up at me, disappointment radiating from her green eyes. I deflate, a frown tugging my lips down in defeat. "I'm not going to give up. We're getting this blood tested, and I'm going to figure something out with this watch. Let me handle it?" I nod, trusting Dia to figure it out. She's incredibly intelligent, and her resources on finding out information are astronomical. And then a light bulb goes off in my head. In those pictures with Gigi, Frank was wearing that watch. I pick through all the papers scattered across the island until I find the small stack of photos. "Same watch," I reiterate, handing the pictures over. Dia peers down at the photos, a grin pulling her lips up. "Now, we just have to prove it." May 8th, 1946. I'm going to die. He's coming for me. I can feel it in my bones. And all I can think of is Sarah, my sweet, sweet Sarah. She's only just turned 16 and she's so bright, so full of life. How do I tell her that I may not be around much longer, and I only have myself to blame? I've made so many mistakes these past 2 years. I should have done things differently. But it's too late. And my daughter will be the one to suffer the most. Oh, Sarah. What do I do when I'm going up against a man that feels he's been scorned? I'm just so tired. I think I'm going to lay down for a nap.
Chapter 37. The Shadow. There's nothing you could have done. You can't change what has already happened, man. You can't save them all. I'm grateful for Jay. I really am. I don't trust many men in this field, especially to do a part of the job I have a very hard time relinquishing. but I can't be on the floor and have my face in a computer at the same time. And Jay has been more than efficient at helping with that side of the job. But what the fucker is not skilled in is making me feel better. He's trying, I get it. But I have a hard time appreciating his effort when it's taking all of mine not to go into Savior's and blow the entire place up. If it wasn't for the fact that there are innocent people who work there, or rather are being kept hostage there, I'd fucking do it. I was there. I watched them drink the blood of a little boy, an 8-year-old kid sacrificed on some stone altar to welcome the new members of a devil-worshipping, blood-drinking pedophile club. I'll never understand why. I'll never understand the desire to hurt someone so young, so pure, so innocent. But those qualities are what attract them. That's what draws the devil to the angel. They want to corrupt, to hurt, to taint, to cause harm and suffering upon those that never asked for it. That's the sick thrill of it. He was 8 years old, Jay. I grind out through gritted teeth. He had a family, 2 mothers, 3 brothers, and a sister. He was loved. He was brought up in a good home by parents who loved him, and they stole him in a fucking grocery store and sold him to the skin trade and used him as a fucking sacrifice. Jay stays quiet, seeming to realize his standard feel-better responses are moot. I was there, and I did nothing to stop it. I open my mouth, ready to go on another tangent, when another call comes through. I glance at the phone and a feral snarl takes over my face. I have to go, I snap, hanging up the phone on Jay and immediately answering the call. Daniel, so nice to hear from you, I greet. Like a blanket being thrown over a fire, my tone is cool and collected. Zach, sorry to call so unexpectedly. I wanted to ask something of you. I lean back in my chair, rolling my neck, the muscles cracking loudly. My eyes never stray from the computer screen displaying the picture of the little boy who was killed in the last video. I'll never forget him, but gluing my eyes to his face reminds me that there's more out there in the same situation, and right now that reminder is the only thing keeping me from going ballistic. I need my wits. If I lose it now, I'll ruin what I've been working so hard for. What can I do for you? Consider it a preliminary initiation. We have our hearts set on what we'll be having for dinner this Saturday, and it's really special. We want to make sure this goes off without a hitch. So Friday, we decided to have ourselves an appetizer, if you will. My brows crease and a pit of dread forms in my stomach, like the sky opening up and releasing a torrential downpour on a drowning city. Without a hitch, I repeat, my tone dropping. Don't take it personally. Most men who are initiated have been around for years. We're all taking a gamble here, so my superiors thought it best we have dinner beforehand. The society is testing me. My mind is already racing with how I'm going to prevent a child from dying in front of my face without killing them all. Is that so? I say, my tone intrigued. All I ask is Friday night, you meet me at a dinner party I'm hosting. Friday is 2 days from now. My head spins as I try to figure out what Dan is planning. It's something evil, I know that much. What's the purpose of this appetizer? If Dan has a problem with my questioning, he doesn't make it known, and frankly, I don't give a fuck. Feeling the urge come over me, I switch my screen to a live feed of security cameras I have set up around Addie's property. She's home, and Daya's car is still parked outside of her house. Later, I'll have to go over more training with her. I've gone over several things she should do if ever kidnapped, but I want to make sure Addie is fully prepared. Not because I plan on ever letting her be taken, but because I'm a realistic and logical person and understand that I can't control everything. I've been in this business far too long to know better. Getting taken can happen in a single second when you're doing the most mundane thing that every single person does every day. Walking to their car, walking in or out of a store, putting gas in your car, going on a walk in a park, and some even force bait to knock on your door and ask for help. Well, to get our fill before the main event, of course. We have the perfect appetizer, picked out just for you. One that resembles your own meals at home. It's safe to say you'll join me, yeah? My fists tighten until I hear the bones crack. The appetizer is a little girl, one that apparently looks similar to the girl who was in the picture I showed him at Savior's. He went out and handpicked a girl based on what he thinks I like. I'm past the sickening feeling that stirs in the gut and makes you want to vomit. I'm seeing red now. The red of his blood leaking from his throat as I slice into it. The red flowing from his mouth as he slowly suffocates. I see so much red. Of course, I say breezily. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Make sure the men are watching over Addie while I'm gone, I remind Jay, tightening the tie around my neck. It feels like a goddamn noose, and playing nice with these men tonight is the proverbial bucket being kicked out from beneath my feet. Socializing with some of the most depraved men to ever live certainly feels like hanging myself from the ceiling rafters. They deserve to die, and instead I'll be drinking expensive whiskey with them and imagining all the ways I'm going to slaughter each and every one of them. Her house is being watched around the clock. Discreetly, of course, Jay assures from behind me. Doesn't feel good enough. Something I learned from when she was just a girl getting undressed in her room while I watched from afar through her window. I knew her skin was as soft as silk and that her pussy would feel like fucking paradise. But being so far away and only just watching, it wasn't good enough. And now her safety feels precarious. I have the best men in the world watching out for her, but if the society were to send someone after her, they wouldn't hire some lowlife off the streets. They'd hire someone just as trained to hunt and kill as the men circling the perimeter of her house. I spare a glance at Jay through the mirror, his shaggy black hair curled around his pale face as he fiddles with the plastic red rose on my nightstand. I don't feel particularly comfortable having him in my personal space, but Jay decided he didn't care and walked into my bedroom and sat on the bed anyway. Addie hasn't even gotten the chance to come here yet. I'll have to rectify that soon. I walk over to him and snatch the rose from his hand. His fingernails painted black today. Every time I see them, they're a different color. Never one to shy away, Jay prods. Is that personal? Where did you get it? I cock a brow at him, but he just stares up at me with faux innocence in his hazel eyes, patiently waiting. Whatever. My mother gave it to me a long time ago. She loved roses and had them all over the house. She gave this to me to always remember her by. My tone suggests that Jay keep his mouth shut. So he does. I twirl the rose, getting lost in the memory of my mother. She was beautiful. Long, black hair with eyes as dark as my right eye, nearly black. But she carried a shroud of sunlight around her. Dad always joked that she kept herself in the shadows so everyone else could shine. She was selfless and kind, always giving but never taking. Deep down, I know my mother would be incredibly proud of what I'm doing. She may not approve of my methods, but I think she would have found a place with the girls I save, helping them and taking care of them. She would have been happy. Setting the rose down, I turn and glance one last time at the mirror. I make sure my three-piece suit doesn't have a wrinkle in sight. The Armani suit has been tailored to mold perfectly to my body and drips with capitalism. Good thing I steal from the rich. You look beautiful, Jay says wispily, wiping a fake tear from the corner of his eye. I give him a droll look and slap his forehead as I walk by. I ignore the muttered ow and grab my keys and wallet before slipping on the earpiece and loading myself with 2 guns. I grab my white gold Rolex, fastening it around my wrist. It's no ordinary overpriced watch, though. Right by the clasp on my inner wrist is a tiny button I installed. The moment I press it, a diversion will ensue and hopefully allow me to get the poor child out safely. I've already hacked the cameras inside and out of Daniel's place, and while he has hired security detail, the few guests I saw enter didn't get patted down, nor were required to walk through a body scanner. This tells me this is more of an intimate affair with few people who are trusted enough not to shoot the place up. I roll my neck, my muscles brimming with tension. Something about this night feels off. It feels like being shot at in a metal room, just waiting for the bullet to ricochet and hit me somewhere vital. There's absolutely no way I'm letting a young child get sacrificed or abused tonight. This will be a matter of how to get the girl out safely while maintaining innocence. If I'm to be brought into the underground dungeon tomorrow, then I need to stay on Daniel's good side. I want your eyes on Addie tonight as well. If something happens, you tell me immediately. He chuckles. Do you think she'll like it when I stalk her too? I pin him with a glare. You watch her for any purpose other than ensuring her safety, I'll cut your dick off and feed it to you. His face scrunches up in disgust, but I don't miss the flash of terror in his eyes. Just kidding, dude, he assures, his hands raised in surrender. I like my women willing. A wicked smile forms, though the heat in my eyes remains. Sounds to me like you don't understand a woman's body well enough to know when it sings for you, even when her mouth tries to resist. Jay's sputtering follows me out, and I can't help but laugh when I hear him on the phone immediately after, getting reassurance from one of his booty calls. So glad you could make it, Zach, Daniel greets, gripping one hand in a handshake and slapping me on the back with the other. Dan's house is just as ostentatious as any other person with a bank account sitting in the millions. His house is rustic, with an accent wall made of wood to imitate a cabin, exposed beams, wooden floors that he paid big money to look weathered, and a lot of tan and brown accents. Abstract paintings decorate the walls, each painting with an earthy tone of reds, browns, and yellows. I pause at one in particular, the drone of Daniel greeting other guests behind me turning into a low buzz. The painting looks like two big brown eyes with streaks of bright red trailing from them. Soft yellows and reds make up the round, short curves of the girl's face. My eyes roam, taking in every detail until the full picture comes together. It's a little girl crying tears of blood. Beautiful, isn't it? I drag my eyes away to find Daniel standing next to me, his eyes roving over the painting with a wicked gleam in his eyes. He stares at the painting with pride as if he painted it himself. Yes, I murmur, before turning away. I'm not going to stand there and interpret art as if I'm not standing in a museum of depraved paintings. One glance around shows the other paintings are carved in subtle morbidity. I shake hands with a few people I recognize from Saviors and Pearl. Minutes later, Daniel has us all join him in the dining room, the 20-foot-long table set for at least 20 people. It's not a normal setup. There are crystal glasses, white plates, and a fork and knife set on a thick plastic covering. The entire middle of the table is completely empty. Normally, flowers and decorations will take up space in the middle to add a taste of class to dinners. I keep my face blank, despite my heart thudding heavily beneath my rib cage. Take a seat next to me, Zach, please, Daniel insists, pointing towards the chair to the right of him. Of course, he sits at the head of the table, smiling at his guests like a king. He leans over and mutters to me, I'm very excited for you to see tonight's entree. I smile, and even I can feel how ice-cold it is. What would that be? I ask. Well, we wouldn't want to ruin the surprise, now would we? Dan deflects before turning his attention to the guest on his left side. I stay silent, instead observing the guests seated around me. Everyone looks to be at complete ease, talking amongst each other, laughing and smiling, as if it's just another day sitting at a dinner table and waiting for a young child to be served. There are 3 exit points in the dining room. One leads into the kitchen where there's a backsliding door. The second leads down a hallway towards the game room and deeper into the house. The third leads back towards the front door. I imagine the girl is in the kitchen. I don't know if she's already dead or if this will be like their rituals in the dungeon. My question is answered 5 minutes later when the kitchen door opens and an older man walks in, hand in hand with a little girl no older than 6. Her brown eyes are wide with terror, looking upon the table like every boogeyman in her nightmares has come to life. The monsters inside her dreams were only there to show her what they look like on the inside. Ladies and gentlemen, dinner is served.
Chapter 38. The Manipulator. All the information Daya and I have gathered so far is splayed out on the island before us. I twist my lips as I mull over what we know for the millionth time, while Daya twists the ring in her nose, round and round. She's waiting on a call back to get the DNA results for the blood on the watch. You know, we still never found out who sent me the envelope with all those pictures and the note. I mumble. I know, Daya says, dropping her hand and pursing her lips. That's so odd. I have no idea who it could have been. Just as I open my mouth, Daya's phone rings. She picks it up so fast you'd think it was sitting on a burning stove. "Hello?" she answers, clicking the button to put it on speaker. "Yes, Daya Pearson?" A woman's voice asks. "This is her," she responds, anxiety making her eyes pinball around the room. She chews her bottom lip, the tiny gap between her front teeth on display, while I abuse mine just the same. Yeah, I got the results back pertaining to the sample you sent in." She pauses, and it feels like when a roller coaster crests the top of the hill. And just for a single second, you're suspended in time before you go crashing back to the ground. "We did get a match. Genevieve Parsons." Brown eyes clash with green in a symphony of shock and excitement. Daya clears her throat. "Perfect. Thank you, Gloria. I appreciate it." "No problem," she chirps before the line disconnects. Mutual silence descends as Daya and I both process the new information. Holy fuck. Before I can fully process the information, Daya reaches over to her bag and pulls out a thick manila envelope. "I had some testing and research of my own done. I went ahead and found a sample of Frank's handwriting in a police report and the note we found and sent it in to an analyst. Now, just to make you aware, graphology isn't always taken seriously in the name of science, but there have been cases where it held up in court. Regardless, I think it'll be good evidence to have." My eyes widen with excitement. "Really? Let me see." She holds up a finger, signaling for me to wait. "Also, remember how the serial number was illegible on the watch?" When I nod, she continues. "I have a friend that's pretty good at deciphering shit like that, and he thinks he got a match. This, Addie, is where the real evidence is. If we confirm it's Frank's watch that had Gigi's blood all over it, and if the handwriting is a match, that's sufficient evidence to prove that Frank was the murderer. And," she bites her lip, "I wanted to wait to open the email with you, so you ready?" I nod my head eagerly, impatience ballooning in my chest. She opens the envelope first and slides out the results. Laying them flat on the island, we both nearly bonk heads in our pursuit to read them. Concerning the 2 samples provided, it has been determined that the handwriting... "Oh my God! It's a match!" I squeal, almost breathless from excitement. Daya grins, giddy with her own excitement. "Okay, now for the real test." She slides her laptop closer, her email already pulled up. She clicks on an unopened message.
Daya, I checked into the serial number like you asked. It was pretty fucking difficult. Whoever scratched that number did it pretty good, but not well enough to get past me. The serial number was tracked down to a buyer by the name of Frank Seinberg. Hope this helps. James.
"Oh my God!" I shout, nearly jumping out of the seat with excitement. "Holy shit!" Daya breathes, her expression full of shock and awe. "He did it! It was fucking Frank! He was in love with her, and he must have found out about Ronaldo and killed her in a fit of anger," I conclude, nearly stumbling over my words. Daya whips around, grabbing the bottle of Grey Goose sitting on the counter. "This calls for a celebratory shot. We can finally bring justice to Gigi. Even if Frank is dead, at least the world will know that he was a piece of shit." I grin, a weird mix of emotion clogging my throat. I'm thrilled that we solved her case, but I'm also sad. And I'm struggling to pin down why exactly. This murder investigation consumed a large part of my life for the past several months, and letting it go almost feels like losing a small piece of myself. "We still don't know who hid the watch," I muse before taking the shot. My face screws up from the taste. I don't care what anyone says. Alcohol tastes like shit when it's not mixed with something. I will die on that hill. But I do relish in the burn as it slides down my throat and settles in my stomach. Fire blooming and warming me from the inside out. I scoot the shot glass back to her, signaling another. Daya glances at me, and what looks like shame is clouded in her sage eyes. "What?" I ask flatly. She points towards my refilled shot glass before shooting hers back. I follow suit. This time it feels like this shot is to gain courage, for what apparently only Daya knows. So, Frank's note wasn't the only one I sent in. Daya starts, hesitation prominent in her expression. Her hand lifts to fiddle with her nose ring, but she catches herself and twists her fingers together instead. Okay, I say, narrowing my eyes in suspicion. She's being weird, and not the kind of weird that involves us taking our pants off and dancing to I'm a Barbie Girl at 3 o'clock in the morning while drinking boxed wine. That's only happened once, but we both woke up the next morning with regrets. She sucks in a deep breath, and I'm tempted to tell her that we're sharing the same oxygen. She's not going to find any particles in there that will give her superpowers and make her brave. I'd know, because I want to run and hide from whatever she's about to say. She picks up the manila envelope and slides out 2 more pieces of paper. Shooting one last glance my way, she sets down the documents and we both read them over. One says it's a match, and another says no match. What am I looking at? The handwriting in the confession note matches your Nana's handwriting. She rushes out so quickly it takes several beats before I comprehend what she said. What? That's all I'm capable of uttering. She groans and pours another shot. This is for the confession note and a sample of your Nana's and John's handwriting. Okay, wait, I say, splaying my hands out. You had suspicions about my Nana being the one to cover up the murder? Her lips tighten into a hard line. Yes. I shake my head, at a loss for words. Why? She throws her hands up. Because it would have had to be someone that lived in this house, Addie. It was either John or your Nana. And your grandmother was attached to the attic, was she not? Where did you even get a hold of things with their handwriting on it? You put aside some old documents she had written on. I took pictures, and, well, John was a bit more complicated, but I managed to scrounge up a will he had written on. Why didn't you just tell me you were doing this? She sighs. Because I knew you'd have a bad reaction to it. I wanted to be sure of my suspicions before I ruined your day. Blowing out a breath, I nod. You're right. I concede. It makes sense. It sounds like I'm trying to convince myself, probably because I am. She stays quiet, giving me space to process the fact that my Nana helped cover up her mother's murder. She was forced to, I say finally, glancing over Nana's confession lying on the island, the note I had found in the attic after seeing what I think was Gigi's apparition. I don't move to pick it up, but I remember the words well. The quick scrawl on a piece of paper containing words of a young girl forced to cover up her own mother's murder. Your Nana was, 16 when Gigi was murdered? Frank obviously threatened her, and she felt she had no choice. He was a detective, for God's sake. Of course, she would have believed him. I nod, a frown marring my features. The fear Nana must have felt, and the absolute sickening feeling knowing she was helping Gigi's murderer. Jesus, I can't even begin to imagine how she must have felt. That's probably why she spent so much time up there, why she stayed in this house. She was probably punishing herself, forcing herself to stay in a house with such terrible memories as penance for helping cover it up, even if it wasn't her choice. I mean, who knows what was going through her head? God, Daya, she was always so damn bright and happy, but on the inside, she must have felt such dark things. Sympathy etches into the lines around Daya's frown. She lived a long, happy life, I'm sure of that, especially because she had you. The alcohol has started to kick in, creating a pleasant buzz in my head. It makes the revelation a little bit more bearable, but not enough to deter the stabbing pain in my chest. I'm heartbroken for Nana. She lived until she was 91 years old. 75 years carrying that weight on her shoulders. I wonder if Grandpa ever knew. He was a quiet man that loved Nana fiercely, I'd like to think he did and shouldered some of the weight for her. A memory sparks of about 2 years ago, a year before she had passed. Nana sitting in Gigi's chair, staring out the window at the rain. I was in town visiting her, and she looked so sad. "What's wrong, Nana? You feeling okay?" "Yeah, baby, I'm fine. Nana's just tired." "Why don't you lay down and rest?" A small, sad smile graced her lips. "Not that kind of tired, my love. But you're right, I'll go lay down for a bit." Another memory replaces that one of when I was about 12 years old. I was coloring at the kitchen island when I had asked her a seemingly innocent and random question. "Nana, if you won $1 million, what would you buy?" "No money in the world could buy me what I truly want," Nana says, a teasing grin on her face. "Well, what do you want?" Her smile drops just for a second, too quick for my 12-year-old brain to think much of it. "Peace, baby. All I want is peace." I go to bed that night just a little drunk and even sadder. I miss Zaid. He's off doing something dangerous tonight, some dinner party. I know he's there to save a little girl, but there's still that selfish part of me that wishes he were here. My instinct is to hate myself for it. Part of me still does. I don't know how long it's going to take before I fully accept the fact that I've started to fall for him, that I'm accepting him into my life. How long has he been stalking me for? 3 months? Not very long at all. In fact, that's such an insignificant amount of time, it almost makes me sick. There's still so much I don't know about him. What's his favorite color? Does he have allergies? I hope he's allergic to all my favorite foods so I don't have to share. Or at least I hope he doesn't like them. More for me. And I hope I don't like his favorite foods, because if I do, I'll probably eat off his plate too. He probably wouldn't mind. And that softens my heart into a pile of mush, because somehow a man that wouldn't care if I ate his food fell in love with me. That's so fucking cute. I flop onto my bed and groan. Daya left an hour ago. We spent the rest of the day working on our respective work. She let me be for the most part, while I stewed over the revelations. And after she left, I kept drinking until I stopped thinking about it. Tomorrow I'll regret it. I'm not even halfway through the next installment in my series, and I have a lot of readers pushing for it. The pressure always starts getting heavy when several months pass between releases. Whatever. Maybe Zaid will stop by and magically cure my hangover, since he's good at making me feel things that should be physically impossible. Especially when he arches his brow and that wicked grin graces his lips. I clench my thighs, a flood of arousal stirring between my thighs. My breathing escalates just with the memory of one look, and I'm melting. How is that possible? I kick off my leggings, a burning sensation in my stomach spreading until it feels like I'm drowning in a pit of flames. A flush is already forming in my chest, and I know pretty soon it'll start creeping up my neck. Next, I rip my t-shirt over my head, leaving me in only my matching bra and panty set. It's white and silky, and that insane part of me wishes Zaid was here to see it. He'd probably think I look so innocent, an angel and a demon, forbidden but drawn to each other anyways. That could be a book, based on the attraction between two opposite souls. Biting my lip, I snake my hand down the front of my underwear, the tip of my finger scarcely brushing across my clit. The contact is so light, but yet has electricity zipping through my veins. I close my eyes, releasing a shaky breath, and I pretend that Zaid is kneeling before me, ordering me to touch myself for him, to show him what I do when he's not here. My heart pounds heavily in my chest like a basketball on a court. I slip my fingers further down, dipping the tip into the pool of wetness that has gathered. I'm embarrassingly wet. Licking my lips, I plunge my 2 fingers inside, a moan falling from my lips as my body seizes with pleasure. Zaid's deep, bottomless voice whispers in my mind of all the dirty things he's growled in my ear, all the words that have stopped my heart in my chest. My redemption will become your salvation. I was convinced he would be my damnation, but at this moment, it feels like I've walked into paradise, nirvana. Just like he said when his tongue was plunged deep inside of me, like my fingers are now. I moan louder, the crescendo building as the image flickers to Zaid sitting behind me in my car, feasting on me. No, drinking from me like a dying man deprived of water. The pleasure builds as I swirl my sopping fingers up to my clit and rub the sensitive bud in tight circles. My head kicks back as my spine curves, panting out breathless moans. I circle my clit faster and harder until I'm nearly chasing the orgasm. And finally, I tip over the edge. I yelp loudly, calling out Zaid's name as the orgasm crashes through me quickly and without remorse. It's over before I'm able to regain my breath. Slumping, I heave out a sigh, the corners of my lips pulling into a frown. My body is languid and boneless, but my chest, it's tight still. That orgasm was only a temporary reprieve, and I realize that the weight isn't going to go anywhere. Tonight, I'm just sad. May 18th, 1946. The face of death is petrifying, but it's the only thing I see these days. He won't leave me alone. I've pleaded with him, begged for my life. I'm a mother. He can't take me away from my child. She needs me for God's sake. I don't know what to do. If I tell the police, will they believe me? Or will they believe him? Someone that is obviously dangerous and has incredible connections. I have no chance. How did my life turn out this way? And how could he do this to me? I trusted him.
Chapter 39. The Shadow. You eat meat raw? I question, the deep note of my tone traveling across the table. Everyone quietens. Well, of course not, Daniel booms, laughing at what he probably considers a stupid question. A sacrifice must be made first. Then we drink the blood and take her. We don't get to have fun with her first? I interrupt, my voice deepening with disappointment. That's half the fun, brother. Eyes shift, glancing at each other, waiting for Daniel's response to my demands. He stares at me, a slight smile on his face. I cock a brow, waiting for my answer. When I do, Daniel laughs, a pleasant surprise radiating from his face. My own is serious, eyes never straying from Daniel's. He breaks eye contact first, looking over to where the servant is holding the scared little girl. Bring her here. I rest back in my chair, my movements languid and relaxed. On the inside there's a war raging, the battlefield in my gut bloody and vicious. I want to tear this entire house down, shredding every sick individual in here with only my hands and teeth. I'll show them what it feels like to be eaten by a monster. The servant hurdles the girl forward, consistently shoving the girl forward due to her digging her little heels in. She knows something bad is coming. But what she doesn't know is, I will do everything in my power to stop that from happening. When the girl reaches us, my hand snaps out, gripping the girl's tiny wrist in my hand. Her wide eyes jerk to mine, and what I see in them nearly breaks my heart. Her eyes are swirling with sorrow and fear. It's an expression no child should ever wear on their face. What's your name? Dan scoffs, but I ignore him.
Sarah,
she says quietly, her voice mousy. I want to hurl her into my chest and run out of here, but I think we both know that's not possible. Sit on my lap, Sarah, I order firmly. Reluctantly, she listens. Her eyes drop as she climbs on my lap, but I don't miss the tears welling in her eyes beforehand. The sick feeling grows more potent as I help her up, keeping her body at my knees with one hand high on her back and my other on her knees. Areas that are not sexual but will be perceived as dominating to the others. I'd prefer not to touch her at all. She's viewing this as something predatory, but I feel safest with her close when there's a bunch of adults eyeing her like she's their next meal, literally. I force a predatory smile on my face and lean in, my lips at her ear, and whispers so only she can hear. "You're safe with me. Keep quiet." Dan observes the interaction closely, a hint of displeasure in his eyes. From his vantage point, he wouldn't have been able to read my lips, and he's not the type of man that appreciates secrets being told in front of his face. Sarah is smart. She doesn't react, doesn't nod or speak. She just continues to look at her clasped hands, tremors racking her petite body as if she's in the middle of a snowstorm. I look up at Daniel. Am I expected to have an audience, or can I enjoy her elsewhere? I ask, looking at the girl with anticipation. He will think I'm anticipating all the ways I'm going to hurt her, but in reality I'm picturing little Sarah being carried away by Ruby while I poise his head over a knife. Dan's mouth quirks at the look on my face, his expression softening back into ease once more. I'm a damn good actor. I'd never survive in this field of work otherwise. "We would love to watch," Dan says smoothly, leaning back in his own chair, while one hand snakes under the table. I can't see what he's doing from my angle, but I don't need to in order to know that he's squeezing himself. I'm going to enjoy killing him.
Please take me home.
Sarah cries, the dam bursting as tears spill over her lashes and down her cherub cheeks. I wipe the tears from her cheeks, silently praising her for flinching away from my touch, even though it makes me feel like my insides are in a dumpster fire. "Don't cry, sweetie," I coo aloud. She cries harder, and my heart blisters from the fury. Dan licks his lips with unrestrained hunger, reaching over to do what? I don't know. My hand that's wrapped around her neck whips out, grabbing his hand with a firmness that has him instantly freezing. I don't share, I growl, letting some of the pent-up anger loose. Dan jerks his hand away, raising them in the air in surrender. "Possessive," he chuckles, glancing at the guests. Embarrassment flashes in his eyes, but it's gone before it can truly settle. That just might come back to bite me in the ass. Dan also isn't the type of man that takes well to public humiliation. Not that I'm truly concerned with the backlash. He'll be dead soon anyways. While Dan's eyes cast over the dinner table, I slyly press the button on my watch, keeping my hands under the table. By the time his eyes are drifting back to me, my hands return to their previous position. "Please, proceed, brother." He tacks on at the end, the word said with an inflection of challenge. I flash a feral grin, not holding back in the slightest. His eyes heat at the sight, likely assuming that he's about to get a show of a lifetime. Before either of us can move, a loud banging on the front door startles us both. A muffled, indiscernible shout follows. Dan's eyes look towards the front of the house, brow furrowing in confusion. "Who the hell would dare?" he mutters under his breath, aghast that someone is nearly breaking down his front door. Panicked, hushed whispers rise from the group, the guests turning to each other with fearful gazes. "Daniel," I snap, catching his attention. "I don't want to wait much longer." "Of course, I'll be sure to hurry," he placates, appearing more flustered as others from the table continue to speak their concern and discomfort. Another loud crash startles the group, and then seconds later a booming crash sounds, causing the guests to jump. Some even rise from their seats ready to bolt. And then, "FBI, get down on the ground, now!" The rest of the guests jump up now, myself included. Gently I set Sarah down beside me, but hold on to her arm firmly as the room breaks out into chaos. The dinner guests scatter like ants, screams and shouts bouncing around the room. The door to the dining room crashes open, eliciting more screams. Several FBI agents storm the room, shouting out demands for everybody to get down. "Let's go," I whisper to the girl, attempting to guide her towards the kitchen door. She struggles and screams for one of the agents, that dormant fire in her finally erupting. I'm so fucking proud of her. I pick her up and whisper in her ear. "Those FBI agents are with me. I'm going to take you back home, but I need you to work with me." The second the word home leaves my mouth, her struggling ceases. She looks at me, her brown eyes full of tears.
You could be lying.
She sniffles, distrust in her eyes. Another surge of pride overtakes me as I stuff my hand in my pocket and pull out a fake FBI badge, flashing it to her discreetly. The first lie I've truly told her. She reluctantly concedes, nodding her head. I bolt towards the kitchen door, not wasting another second. In the chaos, no one will notice me slipping out. But if they do, it won't hurt my case with Dan. I plan on telling him I did exactly that. No one is in the lavish kitchen. If anyone were in here before, they probably ran when they heard the FBI break in. I slip out of the back sliding door, making my way across the massive porch and towards the stairs. The cool air is a balm to my heated skin. This suit is confining. I much prefer my jeans and hoodie to this shit.
Are you going to take me back to my mommy and daddy?
Sarah asks quietly. Her soft, sweet voice is almost a shock to my system. Adrenaline has been coursing through my veins steadily since the moment she was brought into that room. The chemical won't dissipate from my body until she's off this property. I am, I promise gently. Her hand lifts, her tiny finger tracing one of the scars on my face.
Does this hurt?
Not anymore, I say quietly, suppressing the urge to lean away from her touch. I'm not used to anyone touching my scars. When Addie did, it felt like fire lacing across the dead skin. Now, with Sarah, it feels a tad uncomfortable, but not unbearable.
Did the bad guys that took me do this to you?
Not the same bad guys, but bad guys all the same. She seems to think that over, digesting my words slowly. She blinks at me and wipes away some snot leaking from her nose.
Do you know if Mommy and Daddy are alive?
I nearly trip over my feet when she asks the question. Considering I didn't know the girl's identity beforehand, I haven't had a chance to look into her background. I've no idea who her parents are or what kind of home she comes from. Is there a reason you think they wouldn't be? I ask. I make it to the meet-up spot, outside of view of any cameras, in the front of the house where Dan is. Her eyes drop, long lashes fan across her chubby cheeks, still damp from her tears.
I don't know where they are,
she says simply. When was the last time you saw them? She shrugs her little shoulders and says,
I don't know.
I sigh, giving in to the urge and rolling my neck to ease some tension. Ruby should be here soon to take care of Sarah while I finish up business. Soon the agents will lug Dan and anyone else out to be taken down to the station on false charges. They're false agents to begin with, hired by myself. Luckily, I have a few high-ranking FBI agents in my pocket, which is the only thing that made this night possible. They'll bring Dan down to the station on suspicion of smuggling drugs. They will release him by tomorrow morning when they don't find anything. Dan will insist the FBI agents responsible be fired, and considering no real agents were involved, the fake ones will be easily let go of. False paperwork will be filed, and Dan will be satisfied. Or as satisfied as you can be when your dinner party is interrupted by your front door getting kicked in. How old are you, Shortcake?
5.
She chirps. I'll try to find your mommy and daddy, okay? If I can't, I'll make sure you're safe. She nods her little head, her brown eyes now latched back onto me.
Then will you be my daddy?
Fuck. Can't say I've ever been asked that one before. I force a smile. Adoption isn't out of the question, but that's something I'll have to consult with Addie first. She'd be her mommy after all. Before I can answer, Ruby is sneaking up to take Sarah off to a safe place. Ruby stays silent, understanding how dire the situation is. When she approaches the small child gripping onto my hand, she whispers to her quietly, urging her to come with her so she can make sure she's safe. Sarah hesitates. You can trust her, I say softly. Sarah looks up at me with massive brown eyes, and fuck, I'm a puddle of ice cream.
Will I see you again?
Swallowing, I nod, incapable of giving a verbal answer. Sarah is satisfied, though, and allows Ruby to lead her off into the night. Before they completely disappear around another house, Sarah turns her head and gives me one last look. I'm a goner. Just as they round the corner, an FBI agent comes up behind me and grabs my arm roughly. Thought you could sneak away? I laugh quietly, even as he jerks both my arms behind my back and slaps handcuffs on them. Roughly, he leads me up back towards the front of the mansion where Dan is still loud-mouthing the agents and demanding his lawyer. Got a runner, the agent attached to me calls out. Dan pauses mid-tirade to look over at us. I can't be sure from this distance, but it almost appears as if Dan's face goes lax with relief for just a moment. He has nothing to do with anything, Dan says, his face tightening once more with anger. Yeah, okay, buddy, the agent snorts from behind me. I'm actually surprised by the fact that Dan is trying to defend me. Why am I even being arrested? I snarl, feigning anger. You tried sneaking off during an FBI raid. That's grounds for suspicion. I'm terribly sorry about this, Zach, Dan cuts in. This doesn't involve you. I shrug a shoulder, the movement awkward against the cuffs. It's okay. These assholes will be fired by morning, I say with a shit-eating grin. Dan scoffs and corrects me. By the end of the night. Yeah, whatever, fuckers. Get in the car before I accidentally smash your head off the car on the way in. I twist in my binds. What's your name? The agent grins. Michael? Well, Michael, I hope you don't mind shitting out teeth because you're about to eat them. Michael laughs, a glimmer in his eyes. Dan starts up again when another agent leads him into the back of a cop car. His rant is cut off by the slam of the door. Get in the goddamn car, Z. I am hungry, but it's not from my teeth. Chuckling, I comply. Chapter 40. The Shadow. I don't remember ever being a needy child. Growing up, I had a great relationship with my parents. My mother was incredibly loving, and my father was supportive and very involved in my life. But I was always a naturally independent person, determined to do things on my own without help. And because my parents showered me with love and attention, it wasn't something I sought out. I can't say that anymore. Addie's mouth is wide open, drool steadily leaking from her mouth. She's snoring softly, and I don't think I've gotten the chance to tease her about that yet. She's going to get angry, and I smile just thinking about it. Despite her disheveled state, my cock is incredibly hard. The witch went to bed in nothing but a white, silky set, and the second I slowly drew back the covers, I nearly went to my knees. Did my little mouse wear that just for me? Reaching out, I trace a finger up her thigh, enjoying the sight of her skin puckering. She shifts, moaning softly at the disturbance in her sleep. How would she feel waking up with my cock inside her? She shifts again when I finger the strap of her underwear. Normally she wakes up fairly easily, and despite Addie giving in to me, I'm not foolish enough to believe I don't set her on edge still, which means she had a few drinks. Grinning, I toe off my shoes and slide out of the suffocating suit I've been wearing all night. After we got to the station, they hauled Dan off to a separate room and let me go. I came straight here, my body strung tight with the need to bury myself inside my little mouse. Completely naked, I slide into the bed next to Addie, curling her body into mine. Her eyes flutter and I watch as she regains consciousness. When her eyes slide up to my face, they widen ever so slightly. I could have tried to fuck her while asleep, but I decided to hold off on that until Addie admits her love for me and freely accepts mine. Until I can fuck her without a fight, though I think some part of Addie will always fight me. Although I've taken advantage of Addie on several occasions, at least her being awake and coherent allowed me to watch her body's reactions. Doesn't make it right, but her body has always wept for me, and if it ever didn't, I wouldn't have touched her until it did.
Why are you in my bed staring at me like a creep?
She asks, her voice groggy with sleep. I chuckle. I thought it had been established that I'm a creep already.
It has, and yet you still keep doing it?
Would you like me to stop? I query, sliding my hands down her backside. She sucks in a sharp breath, appearing much more awake and alert as I grip her plump ass in my palms.
No,
she admits quietly. She looks so tiny and vulnerable admitting it, so I stay quiet. She trails her fingers across the tattoos on my chest, her eyes averted firmly away from mine.
Do these mean anything?
She murmurs, seeming as if she's concentrating hard on the design. No, I answer. I have them because I like them. I prefer to keep anything of significance as a possession. Frowning, she peers up at me through long lashes.
Why? I would think your body would be the one place you would have anything meaningful. You carry it around everywhere you go.
I lift a shoulder. My body is just a vessel that my soul inhabits, attached to a shell that'll one day leave, and when that day comes, I won't care to let that shell go. I carry my body around because I have to, not because it's a choice. But when I possess something meaningful, I'm choosing to hold on to it. Carrying something meaningful on my skin is effortless, but holding on to something that I could lose, that takes devotion. She drops her eyes back down, seeming to contemplate my words. I curl my finger under her chin, wanting, no, needing her eyes back. They suck the oxygen from my lungs, and I've always loved to toe the line between life and death. Those pretty brown eyes fasten on mine, big and round, and all I want to do is consume her. I will always possess you, little mouse, so know that you have all of my devotion to keeping you.
Why does it always sound like a threat?
She wonders aloud, though a small smile tips the corner of her lips. I grin. Because it is. I roll to my back, bringing her with me so she's sprawled out on my chest.
Zaid,
She warns, but her words contrast against her action. She shifts her legs so she's straddling me, her center lined up on my cock. I can feel how hot and wet she is through the silk of her underwear. Gritting my teeth, I ball my hands into fists, fighting the instinct to rip the sorry excuse for panties to shreds so that I can feel how ready she is to take me inside her. Adeline, I echo. Her light brown eyes are shaded, but I can feel the effect all the same. She's leaning just above me, her soft body molded to mine. I swear I can feel the tension lining her hips as she resists the need to grind her pussy on me.
what?
She whispers, feigning ignorance. Sit on my cock now. Her breathing hitches, and with her breasts pressed tightly against mine, I can't tell if the rapid pulsing in my chest is from her heart or mine. The internal struggle in her head is loud, and indecision radiates from her. Eventually she sits up, her body cutting through the strands of moonlight shining through the balcony doors, and I crumble. Her curvy body is cascaded in both shadows and light, the two forbidden lovers clashing on her skin and creating a fucking masterpiece. Her beauty is blinding, turning my body into ash beneath her light. She drags her hand down her flat stomach until her fingertips tease the edges of her underwear. Addie, I snarl through clenched teeth. My hands slide up her thighs, pausing at the juncture where they meet her hips. I'm a weak man, and I don't possess the strength to deny the need to touch her.
Yes, Zaid.
She asks, her husky voice low and breathy. My hips jerk impatiently in response. She smiles, the act wicked and cruel. Finally, she lifts up and slides her underwear to the side, baring her pussy. I lift my hips again, desperate for contact, but she evades me, hovering just out of reach. You have 5 fucking seconds.
Shh, baby.
I'm so thrown by her calling me baby that my threat vanishes, as if my voice were a ghost teasing the corner of your eye. Her smile widens at my incredulous look, but I'm only confused why she thought calling me baby would calm me down. Now all I want to do is flip her on her knees, pin that pretty face into the sheets, and fuck her until her head is coming out the underside of the bed. Before I can make good on it, she finally drops her hips. I groan at the feeling of my cock being enveloped by slick heat as she glides up and down my length. My head kicks back and my hands tighten on her hips. Bruises will mar her skin, and the thought only enrages the beast more. Fuck, Ad. I have no time to even finish my prayer before the tip of my cock is slipping inside, and I'm completely incapable of formulating words. Slowly, torturously, she works my cock inside her, balancing her weight on my stomach. Little, breathless pants puff from her mouth while I tremble beneath her, so fucking tight.
Oh, God. I'm too full.
She whimpers, her own body trembling as she works to take me in. Baby, I'm not going to be able to control myself much longer. Sit down. Sucking her bottom lip between her teeth, she lifts up one last time before seating herself completely on my cock. A yelp bursts from her lips, her eyes round discs. My body hums from the euphoria of her pussy wrapped so fucking tightly around me. Goddamn Nirvana. There's nothing like it. Now move, I rasp out, my control slipping as I pump my hips up once. It's enough to send electric shocks down my spine. Her chin tips up, eyes rolling as she swivels her hips.
Ah!
She moans, continuing the movement until we're both delirious. She moves slow and languid, sliding up and down and twisting her hips in a way that makes me see entire constellations. Her eyes are pinched shut, her little mouth parted as she gets pleasure from my cock. It feels incredible, enough to make me come if I allowed it. But I need more. I need her fast and hard. Little mouse, I call, my voice hoarse with need, her hips still and her eyes creak open. Run. Her eyes pop open and her breath stalls. A moment passes where we're both frozen in time, and then she springs into action. I hiss from the sensation of sliding out of her, and then she's catapulting towards the end of the bed. She bolts out of the room and guns for the stairs. I stay right at her heels, enjoying the startled screams that slip from her throat every time she sees me so close. Purposely, I let her run, my cock hardening further from the chase. My little mouse loves to be scared, and I get off on making her so. Barreling down the stairs, she aims for the back of the house. I grin when I realize exactly where she's going. I let her get to the hallway before I snatch her up, relishing in the bite of her nails in my arm. Trying to relive a favorite memory, naughty girl? She growls in response, kicking her legs at air. I nearly burst into the sunroom, the beauty of it lost on me when I hold the most precious gift in my arms. I drop to my knees and twist her around, laughing as she struggles. Feel familiar?
Zaid!
She cries with indignation, but I don't give her a moment to get her bearings. She's on her back in a matter of seconds, staring up at me with wide eyes. Let me know which stars you prefer, the ones above you or the ones I make you see. And then I'm driving into her tight heat, not giving either of us a moment to prepare for it. She cries out, her back arching and her claws sharpened as she scores them down my arms.
Jesus fucking...
Her words are cut off from another sharp thrust, a moan replacing her sinful words. I shudder, my control completely in tatters as I drive into her, fucking her so hard that I'm forced to keep dragging her back down towards me. Sharp screams fill the air, and there's a moment where the pitch is so high I fear I broke something inside of her. But then her pussy clamps tight, making it almost impossible to move before she comes around my cock, her body nearly convulsing from the power. My name falls from her lips, but I can't stop. The sound of our skin slapping and her garbled words bounce off the windows surrounding us as I continue to slam into her. Her tiny throat is in my hand, squeezing until she can no longer utter a word. A hand wraps around my arm, branding bloody crescent moons into my skin as she fights for oxygen. I'll gladly sacrifice my name on her tongue if it means climbing up to heaven with her. I bare my teeth, intense pleasure racing down my spine and building at the base. Fuck! I feel the explosion right at the precipice. Parsons Manor will always be destined to be the house that burns and takes lives. Give me another baby, I urge, my other hand reaching down until my thumb circles her clit. Her face pinkens, nearing red when she falls back over. I release her throat. The dizzying rush from lack of oxygen, coupled with her orgasm, has her back coming entirely off the floor. Like a woman possessed, she clings to me as more scratches are torn into my skin. Gnashing my teeth, I sit back, bringing her squirming body with me until I'm kneeling with her legs wrapped tightly around my waist. She gyrates down onto me relentlessly, riding out her orgasm and pulling me down over the edge with her. I come with a roar, clutching her to my chest so tightly that we're both only capable of small, jerky movements as we grind into each other. I lose myself, my name, my identity, my soul. It's been hurtled away into the vortex our bodies have created, like being sucked into a wormhole and kicked out into a new universe. And when we come down, The stars surrounding us suddenly look so dull and lifeless compared to the ones shining in her eyes. I have an extraction tomorrow. It's what I've been building up to for months now, I say, my fingers tracing across her bare back. It's going to be pretty dangerous. I just want you to be aware of that. Addie's head lifts, her face much more visible now that we're in a room housed in windows. I can see the barest hint of the freckles dusting her nose and cheeks, and I want to kiss each and every one of them. We collapsed after I fucked us both stupid, and neither of us has felt inclined to get up since.
Is it the rituals?
I nod and tell her all about the night I had. She was aware of the fucked up dinner party, and when I tell her it was successful, her face softens with relief.
I can't wrap my head around people actually doing that. People just came over and sat at that table as if they were going to eat fucking lobster tail?
Yeah, I murmur. I bite my lip, a shit-eating grin already forming on my face for what I'm about to tell her. Her head just settled back on my chest when I say, "The little girl I saved, Sarah, she asked if I'd be her daddy." Addie's head snaps up so quickly she comes close to breaking it. "Careful, this world would be in trouble if you died." Her mouth flops.
What did you say?
I shrug. I didn't really get to say anything. She had to leave so I could go get fake arrested. If I didn't, Dan and the society might have found the raid too convenient. Luckily, I was able to play it on a charge that Dan has gotten in the past. She blinks.
Would you? Adopt her, I mean?
I lift my hand, gently swiping a lock of her hair from her face and curling it behind her ear. She tries to hide the shiver, but her body is pressed too closely into mine for it to be successful. I wouldn't do anything without your say-so, but yes, I would. She swallows.
Why do you need my permission?
You think I stalked you just because I wanted a quick thrill? No, baby. It's you and me forever, which means if I become a daddy, then you become a mommy. Her eyes widen and what looks like panic flashes in her irises. I curl a finger beneath her chin and land a quick peck to her lips. Don't worry about that right now. Sarah is safe, and at the moment we're more worried about her trauma and getting her mental health taken care of. She nods, though I don't miss the lingering look before she settles back on my chest. Chapter 41. The Shadow. You ready for tonight? Jay asks in my ear. I've been ready, I answer easily as I pull up to the gentlemen's club, Saviors. The society choosing this club as the front for an underground dungeon must be their version of a sick sense of humor. I slip the earpiece out of my ear, stuff it in my inner suit jacket, and then make my way up to the entrance. The outside of the building is like any other high-priced strip club, a marble black monstrosity that drips money and power. The security guard standing outside of the doors gives me a once-over before putting me through the customary "what's your name" and "let me check your asshole" cough once. Unlike Detective Fingers, this one actually manages to keep his hands in the safe zone and lets me through without a hitch. For obvious reasons, I'm not permitted to carry firearms on me, but that won't be an issue. After Mark confessed the location, several of my men were able to infiltrate the security detail hired for this club. Powerful men and women certainly wouldn't be showing up to kill children if they didn't feel protected while doing so. Security is required to carry firearms, and I have it on good authority that some of them might let me borrow a gun or two when the time comes. Just like when I was here last time, when I walk into the club it feels like walking through a portal to hell. It's stifling in here. The air's so full of depravity and sickness that it's a physical weight on my shoulders. Jesus fucking Christ. I feel like I need a goddamn gas mask. I walk directly into the main area, the massive layout and open concept. It's dimly lit and ominous, the perfect place to hide in the shadows without being noticed. The floors are black marble, and unlike the seedy strip clubs downtown, these floors shine as brightly as my freshly polished shoes. The blood-red walls are bare of creepy art, but plenty of creeps occupy the booths and tables surrounding the stage. A woman swings around the pole, shaking her ass to the beat, while money is thrown on the stage. Low music pumps through the speakers, though not so loud that I can hardly hear myself think. Loud moans ring out from somewhere down a hallway, and I make sure to stay far away for now. If I go back and see some fucked up shit happening, I'm going to blow the entire thing. For a second I thought you weren't going to show up, a voice says from behind me. I turn to see Dan standing there, peering at me with a satisfied grin on his face. A man can't enjoy some strippers after getting arrested? I retort, my tone laced with dry amusement. Dan laughs and shakes his head, stuffing his hands in his pockets. I still can't believe that happened. I am so sorry. Every man on my lawn got fired that night, I assure you. I flash my teeth. I expected nothing less. What charges did they try to pin on you? Fucking drug smuggling. He scoffs in that can you believe that shit way. I haven't had a line of coke up my nose in months, and it sure as shit wasn't my product. I quirk a brow. What happened to the girl? His face darkens, and for the first time I see true evilness reflecting back at me. I knew it was there, residing just below the surface, but this is the first time Dan truly let that hateful demon out. I believe one of my guests took advantage of the chaos and stole her for themselves. The cameras? I push. He shakes his head and spits. Fucking ruined. The FBI must have done something to mess with the signal when they came, probably because they weren't authorized to kick down my goddamn door. Regardless, the little girl is gone, and $90,000 went down the drain. My displeasure is prominent as I say, do you have any idea who it was? I would love to talk to them about stealing from me. A smirk forms on his face. As soon as I have confirmation, I will let you know. Otherwise, keep the beast contained. He pats my chest and motions towards an empty booth. Let's have a drink. The ceremony won't start for a few hours. Lead the way. So, my wife said that she's going to leave, right? I told her there isn't a goddamn inch that exists in this world where she could hide, and I couldn't find her. He finishes his statement with a huff and shake of his head, boggled that his wife would even try to find a happy life somewhere else. Somewhere that doesn't involve eating children for dinner, and whatever else sick shit they do to them in the meantime. Women like to run, but they like to be caught even more, I murmur. He looks at me, a wicked grin curling his lips. Exactly, man. Too bad the bitch isn't worth chasing. So by the time I catch her, she's going to wish she did find that inch. You know how exhausting it is to be married to someone who doesn't share the same tastes as you? I've tried to initiate her several times, but she refuses. Can you believe that? How does someone with a shred of decency even answer that? You don't. I shake my head casually, taking a sip of my whiskey. Addie's grandfather has better taste than these old dick lickers. Glancing at his Rolex, he motions for me to follow as he stands. It's time. Let's head on down, Dan says, swallowing the last of his whiskey before setting the empty crystal glass on the table. He turns and checks out a passing stripper, his eyes leering on her exposed backside. And when we're done, I'm going to take a bite out of that one next. These initiations always get me in the mood. The whiskey in my stomach sours. Swallowing down what I really want to say, I motion for him to lead. He saunters towards the hallway where the moans are emanating from. Stealing my spine, I follow after him. We enter through a hallway riddled with doors on either side. The moans escalate, but now that I'm closer, I hear the notes of fear and pain laced in them. Cracks of whips, flesh hitting flesh, and the loud grunts of men accompany the moans. Fuck. Think of the child laying on a stone altar somewhere. They need me more. At the end of the hallway is a black marble door. Dan wraps his fist around the knob and pauses before peering back at me, his lips curled with excitement. You ready? Considering I was teased last night, I'm more than ready. Dan flashes a malicious smirk before opening the door. I'm met with a dark hallway, scarcely lit by dim LED lighting on either side of the floor. The hallway is long and almost feels never-ending. And it seems the further we walk, the narrower it grows, but it's just my mind playing tricks on me. At the end is another marble door. I glance back and notice we were going down a subtle incline, where I see a small group of men coming down the hallway in the distance. Dan opens the door and we're greeted by a room full of people. The black marble extends into the room, but the walls are rock. On either side are long rows of familiar black robes I've seen in the last few videos. The people gathered in here are speaking in low tones, slipping on the oversized robes. My heart pounds, almost in disbelief that I'm finally here. The moment I've been working towards for so long. It's surreal. "Grab one," Dan orders, his tone serious. Without a word, I unhook a robe and slip it on. The material is silky smooth, but it feels like I'm wrapping myself in wool. Despite my large stature, the material still hangs past my feet and hands. "This another newcomer?" a nasally voice asks from my left. I turn to see a weasel of a man standing next to me. He's at least a good 3 feet shorter than I am, with a receding hairline, a hooked nose, and round glasses. "I am," I answer cryptically. "And you are?" The man smiles nervously. "Also a newcomer. My name is Larry Varanich." "Zach," I offer. Several robed figures start pouring out of the room through another black door straight ahead. "Let's go," Dan says, nodding his head towards the group. As I approach the door, a low hum gathers at the base of my neck, causing the hairs to rise. The room is just like I've seen in the videos. It's like walking into an underground cave, only instead of moisture in the air, it's dry and heavy. The dark space is lit by hundreds of candles lining the rock walls, but the small flames are no match for the oppressing shadows. We're on a rounded platform, a simple black rail as a barrier to about a 40-foot drop. In the center of the room is a stone altar, a wriggling little girl on top of it. Black straps circle her tiny wrists and ankles, keeping her in place. She can't be more than 6 or 7 years old. The hum grows louder until it sounds like it's coming from inside my own head. My hands clench beneath the fabric, and I'm only thankful that the sleeves are long enough to hide my reaction. "To your left are the stairs," Dan says, pointing in the direction. "Go ahead and stand by the altar. One of you will be offered the knife to bleed out the sacrifice. Drink the blood and you will be initiated into the society." I nod my head and take off in the direction. The rocky, uneven stairs are just around the bend where Larry is already heading. I lift the hood over my head, glancing around the areas until I spot the security guards. 3 of them on the bottom floor where the altar is, hidden off in the shadows. From my vantage point, I'm unable to see their faces, but I know Michael is one of them. 2 other men follow behind me as I make my way down the steps. The minute my foot hits the ground, a low chant begins, gaining in pitch as I approach the altar. I stare at the little girl on the stone slab, tears tracking down her dirty cheeks. She's sobbing, her little lip curled in a frown as her wide blue eyes stare at us in absolute terror. My heart constricts so tightly it's debilitating. By sheer willpower, I force myself to stand still. "Fuck, I'm already getting hard," a guy whispers from my left. My teeth nearly crack from how hard I clench my jaw in that moment. Slowly, I turn to see a guy that looks like he's in his early 20s, his hood down. His brown, bottomless eyes glance up at me, and all I can see is pure excitement radiating from them. He's going to be the first one to die. He's close enough that he can see my face, and I work to keep it neutral. He grins at me, but I give him no reaction. And though his smile falters just a little, the sick fuck has no idea that I just did him a huge favor. Because had I reacted, I would have reached down his throat and ripped out his windpipe with my bare hands.
Please, I want my mommy.
The little girl begs from below me. Her red and puffy eyes are full of tears, and she's staring up at me with terror and desperation. Her little lip trembles, and I have to physically restrain myself from reaching out and grabbing her tiny hand in my own.
"Please,"
she cries, her blues full of tears despite the rivers streaming down her cheeks.
"I want to go home."
Snarling, I force my mouth to stay shut. More than anything, I want to reassure her, comfort her, promise her that she will get to see her mother again. But I can't allow any of those words to escape. Not yet. The chant around us grows louder, building until it feels like the cave vibrates from the sound, but it's muted, like I'm underwater. All I can concentrate on is the small girl pleading for my help. I'm staring at her so hard, trying to convey the assurances in my eyes that I don't even notice the black figure that approached until they're right before me, standing on the other side of the little girl. Their faces hidden in the depths of their hood, and black gloves cover their hands. I've no idea if this person is a man or a woman, or how significant they are. They could be from the society. In fact, my intuition tells me they are. In each hand are 2 goblets twined between their fingers. The figure holds out their arms, and the 4 of us each grab one. And then the figure reaches down by their leg and pulls out a curved black blade. They don't speak. They just balance the blade in the palm of their hand and hold it out straight, an offer for any one of us to take. I swipe the blade, already sensing the frat boy next to me gearing up to snatch it. I can feel his disappointment, assumingly because he wanted to be the one to plunge the blade into a child's chest, and for that I'm going to make sure his death is slow. He won't get the honors of getting his jugular sliced open so he can bleed out in seconds. No, he won't be that fortunate. The chanting escalates until the haunting noise radiates off the cave walls. I feel the figure's eyes boring into me, and though they can't see my face either, I return the stare. Finally, they turn and walk away, disappearing back into the shadows. My heart thumping heavily in my chest trumps the noise around me. I can't hear anything beyond the racing organ beneath my rib cage until the little girl's screams pierce the air. I've lifted the blade over her, the sharp point hovering right above her chest. The handle is fisted in my grip. I stick out 2 fingers, pausing for a few seconds to make sure the signal is seen before tucking them back in. And then I look down at the girl. "Close your eyes," I whisper, "and don't open them until I tell you to." Her lip wobbles, but she listens, closing her eyes to the horror that will happen around her. Gripping the blade tightly, I lift it up and swipe my arm to the left, directly into the frat boy's throat. The chanting stutters before stopping completely, gasps ringing out as the boy beside me suffocates on his blood. I jerk the blade out, the suctioning noise swallowed by his choked gasps. He's staring at me, eyes wide with disbelief, and then he collapses, no longer capable of holding himself up. Gunshots ring out. A security guard stationed behind me falls to the ground, his brain matter splattered into the shadows. That was the trigger. The entire room bursts into action. Panicked screams and running bodies aim for the exit. I don't let Larry make it a step before the curved blade is plundering through his eye, glasses and everything. His body convulses and then collapses when I rip it out of his head, the suctioning noise lost in the chaos. I look down at Frat Boy and watch him take his last breath, the life snuffed out from his eyes, and I smile. Michael erupts from the shadows, running towards me. When he's close enough, he flings a gun at me. I snatch the weapon in the air and face the direction the black figure disappeared off into. Urgency flooding my veins, I glance down at the little girl, her eyes still faithfully closed. Blood is splattered across her body, and I hate that evil still managed to touch her. Slipping the hood off my face, I lean down over the girl. "Open your eyes, pretty girl, but I want you to look only at me, okay?" Slowly, she cracks them open. The tears have dried, but her face is still twisted with panic. "My friend here is going to take care of you. He's going to make sure you get back to your mommy, okay?" Immediately, she bursts into tears again. I swipe her blonde hair from her face. "It's okay, pretty girl. What I want you to do is keep your eyes on him and only him. Close them if you have to. He'll let you know when it's safe."
"Okay,"
she whispers, her little voice cracked. She nods, and I gently sweep a tear from her face before straightening my spine. "Take care of the girl," I order, looking up at Michael. "Ruby should be here. She'll take care of her, and then you come back and help finish this shit off." Michael nods while I start towards the area I last saw the black figure disappear. If they really were a part of the society, then I want them for information. Screams erupt from the entrance I came in through, followed by more gunshots. One of my men must have let my team in. Absolute carnage is consuming that cave, but I don't worry about that, trusting that no one that participated in this ceremony will make it out alive. That was a very clear order I made. This world will be better off without them. I only make it about 10 feet before an explosion blasts through the cave, sending me flying. Time slows as my body hurtles through air, sound becoming inconceivable. And then it speeds again and my body is colliding into the stone altar. The oxygen is knocked from my lungs as my back hits the corner of the altar before I collapse to the ground. Loud ringing reverberates throughout my head, but it's no louder than a whisper when the pain is deafening. For seconds, minutes, hours, all I can manage is to lay there as confusion and pain swirl around me. Groaning, I crack open my eyes, squinting through the dust clouding the area. I can't hear a goddamn thing, but as the dust settles, the body parts strewn across the place tells me how loud it is. Bodies are running around chaotically. There's a man dragging himself towards the steps, one leg completely missing, while part of the railing protrudes from his side. He must have been on the top floor and gotten blasted through it, along with several other people, some of them missing limbs, others just covered in blood and seriously injured, cradling some part of their body as they process the utter shock of the explosion. The ringing recedes, and an onslaught of screams filter in. I groan again, forcing my body into an upright position as I try to figure out what the fuck just happened. My head is fuzzy and my vision swims, the pain flaring brighter with every movement. Jesus fucking Christ, what the hell happened? A person is charging towards me, their tall, lanky body emerging from dust clouds and bloody limbs. Their mouth is open in a shout, and it's not until they're nearly a foot in front of me that my eyes process what I'm seeing. It's Jay. Why the fuck is Jay here? He should be behind a computer desk somewhere. Zaid, dude, are you okay? Panic etched into every line on his face, and his hazel eyes are rounded with fear as he kneels before me, his hands sweeping over my body to check for injuries. The fuck happened? My head is fucking throbbing, and my back feels damn near broken. Why are you here? I came as soon as I figured it out. It was a setup. This last video, they knew we were coming. I don't know how, man, but they purposely leaked the fucking video. It was a fucking setup. I'm so focused on Jay's mouth, slowly trying to process the words coming out of them, that the sound of a gun being cocked and the cold press of metal in the back of my head registers too late. Glad you could figure that out, Jason Scott. Now let's see those hands. Otherwise, this single bullet will find its way in both of your fucking heads. Jay looks up at the person standing behind me, his eyes growing impossibly larger. You?